Welcome everyone, and thank you, Wunder, for hosting this incredible event. As you can tell from my accent, I am not from these parts. My name is Louisa Nichols. I have the privilege and pleasure to be on the UK advisory board for Wunderkind. Previous roles of mine, I worked in John Lewis for a number of years, so heading up the digital and marketing team, so everything from the famous John Lewis Christmas ads all the way through to the performance marketing teams. But enough about me. I'm going to hand over and ask these wonderful ladies on the stage to introduce themselves. So your name, where you're currently working, fill us in.
Sounds good. I'm Maggie. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Fresh Clean Threads. We rebranded from Tees to Threads over a year ago, and we're a basic essentials men's apparel brand, recently launched women. We believe in providing quality, well-fitting basics at an accessible price point because everyone deserves to look good without breaking the bank. And so I oversee the e-commerce team, brand performance, and all of our creative departments. Prior to Fresh Clean Threads, I started my career as a management consultant, working in a variety of strategic growth and operational projects, fell in love with consumer side technology, the excitement that is growth, and so made my way through to this startup and have been scaling this business for over 3 years now.
Great. I'm Anna Warner. I'm the Vice President of Loyalty and Retention Marketing for Belk. I'm curious how many people have heard of Belk, it's a department store? Okay. Must be a lot of Southerners in the room. We're a department store retailer. We're headquartered in Charlotte, North Carolina. We have about 300 stores in 16 states, all in the Southeast. And so my role is responsible for our loyalty program, so our Belk Rewards Plus credit card program, as well as our owned channels, including email, text messaging, and all of our mobile app communications.
Awesome, and I'm Lora Loesch. I was formerly the VP of Digital Marketing and Finance at Finish Line and JD Sports. I took some time off to be a stay-at-home mom. I just don't have any kids. So yeah, at Finish Line and JD Sports, I oversaw all of performance marketing and managed our digital P&L. We did over $700 million in digital sales, so a huge P&L, and then also ran all of our digital marketing channels. So excited to be up here.
Thank you very much. Incredible lineup, and I'm sure you'll agree, a really great span of brands to really get into this topic. But it's as if we set this up, it's as if we planned this, Maddie, right? With the, with the segue in, with Rich mentioning about loyalty and what Wunderkind's doing in that space, and then, you know, just the 65% marketing leaders cite not enough budget as having led to kind of large impact on paid strategy. So we're here to solve all those problems. Hopefully we'll be able to give you some examples to take away, you can steal with pride and take back to your companies. But we'll get right into the topic. So the market ups and downs over the last 3 years have led to some major shifts in strategy for retailers, affecting all parts of the conversion funnel and personalization efforts. What has been the loyalty journey for your brands over the last 3 years? And I'm going to come to Maggie first.
Up and down is a great way to explain the last few years. So we are a purely online e-commerce brand, so COVID was quite successful for us in scaling. Media costs were very low. Customers were all migrating online to purchase and being a lot more open to it. And so acquisition was easy. Mm-hmm. We focused a lot of our efforts in getting to first order profitability, and your budget was unlimited. You didn't have to have conversations with the CFO because you were first order profitable. A year later, as we got out of COVID, media costs became more expensive. Meta could not figure out its algorithm for all of our sake for a while, and so it became really expensive. And even now, even though they've gotten a lot better, the fight for loyalty is now the most important focus of the company, in which we work with Wunderkind for a lot of that work. I'm paying for my time now. But we have started thinking a lot more about our LTV, how we can not only acquire these customers, but make sure they come back to fund the acquisition funnel, because without these returning customers, we will not be able to continue to acquire without finding more cash. And so for us, we spent a lot of effort thinking about what kind of membership programs, what kind of individualizations do we have to provide to give these customers a good experience, give them a reason to buy from us beyond a great product. What does the brand stand for? What is it that we can offer them that makes them feel valued, and providing the value to them in more than just a product form. And so that's been a big journey for us, and happy to get into some of the tactics we've used, but shifting to LTV has been a big focus for us.
And help us understand, so your customer segment, is it more Gen Zs, millennials? Where do you sit within the customer segments?
We actually represent all of America. Some of our biggest selling cities are in Salt Lake City, which is shocking, Vegas. So we're actually all throughout America, and our customers tend to be slightly older. One of our the ways we sell is that our t-shirts fit any guys, but particularly for the bigger guy, it makes you look really fit. And it hides your belly. If anyone's seen those Instagram ads, you might start seeing them now. But that segment is, they're well off, but they're seeking value. They're busy in their everyday life. They don't want to think about their wardrobe. They just want to be able to grab a t-shirt from their closet, a polo from their closet, and go. And now we've also expanded a large part of the closets into bottoms, into performance, and actually launching into women. So our proposition to these folks is, this is for everybody. If you're a busy person who's seeking value but want a really quality product without thinking about it, this is for you, and this is a big part of our value proposition in ads.
Yeah. And you've touched on something really interesting there around the customer experience. I think this iPad is interfering. Customer experience and how it shifted, with the likes of Amazon coming on board years ago, and customer experience suddenly shifts from great store experience into when can I get it, seamless, quick. I don't need to think about it. So really hold that thought, because we'll come back to that. Really interesting. So Anna, on the flip side, obviously bricks and clicks with Belk. Tell us a bit about your strategy.
Well, I agree. It has been quite a roller coaster that we have all been on. Excuse me. Over the last few years, we at Belk, we're about to celebrate our 135th birthday. So we're a very old legacy traditional company. And while we were, pre-COVID, we were on our digital journey, I would say the pandemic certainly accelerated our digital first mindset. So we, as stores were closed for a period of time and people were not as comfortable going into stores, we looked at how do we optimize the digital experience. And one of the, positive outcomes from a business perspective is right around that time, we had partnered with Wunderkind. And so our digital growth was increasing, and we had Wunderkind in place, and promise this isn't a plug, but we did. We had Wunderkind in place as our digital traffic was growing, and so they were able to help us not only identify all of this new digital traffic, but retarget based on the behaviors that a customer is taking on our website, and then more recently also on our mobile app. So, and that actually had a residual effect, because now as our customer is more comfortable going to the store, we have their digital experience and learnings from that to better optimize the store experience as well, and how we speak to them. So it's kind of been an interesting cycle.
Yeah, and you've got a brilliant story. I loved it when we were chatting earlier around your stores becoming a community hub. So for the older population, the demographic that you operate within. Tell us a bit about that.
Sure, yeah. So, being a company with a legacy like we have, people have been going to Belk their entire lives. They, remember going as a little child with their grandma, and so they have a very positive sentiment and, heartwarming memories with our store, which is, not all retailers can say that. So it's something we're very proud of. And I think also, a reason why, as things did become hard, both economically and, globally with the health crisis, we did still see a good amount of our customers retaining that loyalty So that was a positive for us.
Yeah, incredible. And congratulations on 135 years.
Thank you.
I think America is only 245 years old, isn't it?
Yeah.
So brilliant, that's impressive.
1888. And if you live near a Belk on September 16th, your store will be having a party to celebrate. So please, we welcome you in.
Great plug. And Lora, at the end there, now I know your brand from JD Sports, so that's a big brand in the UK.
Yes.
But tell us a bit about your story and your brand.
Yeah. So COVID was incredible for us. So we have an interesting supply chain. About 70% of our online orders are fulfilled from stores, so that we can get product to the consumers faster based on where they are. So during COVID, we were able to keep one person in a store during the day and fulfill packages. So we accelerated incredibly because our competitors, Nike and Foot, don't work that way with their supply chain. So that was a massive acquisition time for us. We heavily invested in acquisition, stealing share, and our traffic actually exceeded Foot Locker's, which was a huge win for Finish Line. And they still continue to have stronger digital traffic versus Foot Locker, which is awesome. But now we've shifted more to the retention focus for sure. The budget cutting, pulling back. Obviously, margin is eroding, and it's a tough situation right now from a cost perspective. So how do we really retain those customers? And obviously, Wunderkind's been a huge part of that, and we'll get into that more, I'm sure.
Well, I can imagine that the sports market is incredibly competitive. Obviously, all markets are, but I mean, where do you start with how do you approach loyalty in that way when brands are so strong in that space?
Yeah. So we have a loyalty program called Status. And it's incredible for us. The more you buy, the more you get access to products. So they have a very interesting marketplace of these Jordans and now again Yeezys that are so competitive to get. And once you get them, then they're even more expensive to resell. So the more you buy from us, the more you get access to this hot product. And it's been an incredible loyalty program. Obviously, based on my last question to Ben from Rag & Bone, I'm obsessed with loyalty programs. And what Finish Line has put together is amazing to grant access to people the more they shop.
Yeah, really incredible. I read somewhere that the average American has 16 loyalty or are members of 16 loyalty programs. So you've really need to up the game. The brands really need to be there in that space and really understand it. But I'm interested around the kind of the Gen Z mentality of, they are aligning themselves more and more with brands that have the right values, operate in the right spaces, bring that community to life. I'm just interested from your perspective how you're leaning into that. For example, in the sports sector, Lora, how does that manifest? And do you still think traditionally Gen Z and millennial, and how you target those subgroups?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we actually really heavily focused on Gen Z in granting them product. I would almost say we over-index there, and we forget about the moms and all of our loyalty program so based on accessing product. Mm-hmm. And that's what's so attractive to them, right? Everyone's fighting for the best sneakers right now because supply is still low. But we absolutely focus on that, yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And actually the session that Mindy did yesterday around, that side of things and the disability and what brands stand for, it all beautifully ties together into this segment around loyalty and what that means. But I want to get into kind of the holy grail of first-party data, so to speak. But how do you use data? Talk to us about how you use data, given that you're a kind of a pure play. How do you use data to incentivize customers and build out your loyalty programs?
Yeah, so all of our sales are mostly first party. We're also on Amazon, so you lose a little transparency there, but I'm sure all the retailers here understand that. But we really leverage it to understand what our customers want. I actually really like Ben's title because being a chief customer officer is essentially the core of our jobs, to understand what the customer wants, what they need from us, and being timely in engaging with them when they need new t-shirts. Or knowing we actually sell mostly basic colors, so understanding the color preferences of our customers, we'll find that a darker color wearer doesn't care to get bright colors emails or launches from us. And that's okay. That doesn't appeal to them. And so we'll make sure we're sending them other things that are of similar color profile that they prefer. Or when we know that they're more of a polo wearer, will they prefer a more formal bottoms versus sweatpants, for example. And so we do use their purchase data, their behavior, their browsing data to understand what it is that they like and make personal recommendation. I think from a product assortment standpoint, especially as an apparel brand where you have so many products, that becomes really important because they need some help browsing and there's no store associate to help them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess the flip reverse for you in Belk, obviously you've got physical and digital channels and trying to tie that together. Talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So, by nature of having a credit card program, we actually collect a lot of zero-party data. So the customer is explicitly providing information about themselves as they're signing up for the credit card. So that, of course, opens windows for us to understand them better and market to them more relevantly. And our stores are a crucial part of that. They're a crucial part of not only driving card applications, but also just collecting data in general. So, over 50% of our email subscribers come from the stores, and the field that's out there, boots on the ground, driving home the incentive that you get for not just signing up for email, but downloading our mobile app. Believe it or not, our stores are a huge driver of our mobile app downloads. And the way that we've done that is, we collect your zero and first party data. We're able to, then hopefully market to you, and we're able to tell you the benefits of having the mobile app. So you can actually, if you have the mobile app downloaded and you're in the store, we have a price checker, so you don't have to wonder when you get to the register what's the total going to be. So we've strategically done things to provide value and benefit and give a reason for someone giving us their information, whether they're signing up for a card or not.
Yeah, I really like that. It's the value exchange, isn't it?
It is.
At John Lewis, we're quite famous for our free tea and coffee vouchers. Very British, I understand. But people you wait for them to come into the post, and then they'd take them, and then they'd drive miles to the nearest store. So they actually didn't save any money because they paid for it in petrol anyway. But that's beside the point. But it was very, very popular. But we were working on initiatives on how to drive app downloads, and we realised actually that if we digitalised those vouchers and didn't give people an option to have it through the post, I'll tell you what, the entire customer base suddenly downloaded the app. Because older demographics, they were on there. Even my father, who refused to do any type of digital thing, suddenly was an app expert because he got his tea and coffee voucher. So I really like that. It's about that value exchange, it's giving that reason to download it. But how did you incentivize your store staff to get those downloads and encourage?
Sure. I mean, probably the ways many other retailers are doing. There's contests and things, and you can fill the fridge and the break rooms and things like that boost morale. But also a key part of it is just reporting and providing insight to the store associates on how they're doing, how are they ranking among other stores in their area. And so it kind of becomes almost a competition, and they want to see those numbers rise. And so we try to be very transparent with how they're doing. And also, we have such a strong, store training program. And so if numbers look low for a particular store or associate, we have very formalized training methods, and we help them. And that's been successful for us.
Yeah, it's about employee incentives, customer incentives.
Yeah.
And I suspect, similarly, because obviously you guys have got stores and online presence, but talk to us about your strategy.
Yeah, no, same thing with the app. It's been a huge thing for us. Before I left, we launched a huge app download campaign. And Taylor on my team was here, and he was telling me how great the results are, and I was like, I love hearing that. But we did the same thing, just trying to compensate employees to get customers to download the app because the app is incredible. I'd say from an overarching strategy, I always like to use the analogy of dating than a relationship when we get customers to the site. So when we get customers to the site, it's like we're dating. So we first try and get their email, obviously through Wunderkind, and then we try and get their phone number, which I wouldn't really ask someone for their email if I was going to try and date them, but it would probably be vice versa. But we do offer a coupon when we get their phone number, and then once they convert, then we're more in a relationship, and then we try and get them into our loyalty program. So those are kind of the steps that we take through. So let them browse, let them love us, and then get them signed into status.
I love that.
And then we get their first party data.
Is there a career move into dating apps? I feel like
I know.
We told you you'd have things that you could steal with pride. Take that back and align, build out your strategy to that. I think that's really
If you get their email, you can send them to spam if needed. So
yeah, that's a good
strategy.
Point. Yeah.
And one thing we're talking about here is before they even purchase, how are we incentivizing them? I think another really great place to incentivize is even if they don't want to give you their email right away, when they do make a purchase, they're giving you that chance. You've convinced them to give your product or your store a try. That's another really great place to try to lock them in. Hey, you bought from us once. It's not that much more effort to become a lifetime member of our brand or retail store, right? And so in that sense, that presents another really good opportunity on top of our Wunderkind's identity network and other types of actual marketing that can identify these users, because maybe they're not giving you an SMS number on the first time they meet you, but maybe at a different bar, they see you again and suddenly they're like, okay, fine, maybe I'll give you my business.
Yeah. I think that's a really key point, because nobody wakes up in the morning and says, hey, I'm gonna go subscribe to the email program at my store down the street, or I'm gonna go get a credit card today. So it's really finding them in those key moments where your opportunity is there, and optimizing the messaging in that moment is crucial.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's about being there when people need you and getting out of the way when they don't.
Yep.
But I feel we could have a whole session on the analogies between those and loyalty. I love it. But let's get into some of the different channels that we can use in our marketing toolkit. So specifically email, that's having a bit of a resurgence at the moment. How do you use email within your marketing mix? And how prevalent is it within that mix? Have you got something that you kind of lean on more towards? I'm just thinking from a Belk perspective and your kind of client base.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm biased, but email is certainly king. It's a huge driver for our company, and although we have deliberately expanded into other channels. We launched SMS about a year ago through Wunderkind, and that has exploded. So if you're sleeping on SMS, I highly suggest at least looking into it, because I have seen definitely a resurgence in consumers being more willing to sign up for SMS programs. Just make sure you got your legal stuff straight. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier our mobile app. So even though our demographic does skew a little bit older, they're not afraid of technology necessarily, especially if, like I said, if you provide a value proposition. So they're not afraid to sign up for. They're actually pretty comfortable with text messaging. I mean, whose grandmother in the room doesn't know how to text? So it's grown from being very focused on email, which we still are, but it's more of a mix now, and I think that's a really healthy approach.
Mm-hmm. And from a contact strategy perspective as well, because we can flood customers so quickly with so much messaging. Mm-hmm. How do you weave that into your, because I should imagine it's all encompassing, how do you weave that email strategy into your wider marketing strategy at Belk?
Yeah, it's something we talk about a lot, and we haven't completely cracked that nut, but we believe that technology can help us, and so we've made some investments in technology that will allow us to do more omni-channel orchestration across our channels, including our paid channels. So that's kind of an exciting thing on our roadmap. Because right now there's, I think we probably all deal with data silos, and we'll be working with Wunderkind in the upcoming year to make sure our cardholder data is integrated into our SMS program, so we can do cardholder messaging. We're gonna work on more things that we can do through our mobile app to send Wunderkind retargeting triggers and things like that. So it's definitely something that's top of mind.
No pressure, Wunderkind. And Laura, how about yourself?
Yeah, so our SMS program has skyrocketed. We actually do more revenue through SMS than we do email now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And maybe it's obviously our consumer, but it's more engaging and everything. And we have actually one person that's over SMS to make sure that we're delivering at the right time. You know, because you don't want to wake up someone in California at 6 a.m. to buy sneakers, and making sure it's the right messaging and doing a ton of A/B testing, all of those different things. But SMS, and obviously we do it through Wunderkind, has been extremely successful for us. We also really manage the two channels strategically. So from an email perspective, we obviously know more about that consumer, what they open up, what they'll engage with, all of that. So we do tend to have sales shoppers over index with emails. So since that channel is so cheap and everything, we really market any sale product and all that via that channel. And then we've moved to very premium via app messaging. So if there's something launching, if there's a brand message, if it's just a general back to school, whatever it is, we really push through SMS, and we found huge success with that. So high margins, high AOV, it's crazy conversion rates. Like we're talking like 12%. So it's been awesome for us.
Oh, 12%.
Yeah.
Most brands would kill for that. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And I really like that, thinking more around actually when do you deploy each channel rather than doing the whole blanket, right, we're going out with comms across every single channel. It's just so important in this day and age.
Yeah,
It really is.
and I would say like email certainly is a really important channel, but SMS is quickly growing, and it's a much more intimate channel as well. So you have to be quite thoughtful in how you're approaching your customers. You have effectively 100% open rate. The SMS program is quickly growing for us as well, and we actually use that as part of the acquisition funnel too. When we send out big SMS campaigns or email campaigns, even if a new customer hasn't quite been acquired, they haven't purchased, but because they're in our email list and suddenly they see a new product launch that they really want to check out, they will buy from that. And so all the channels effectively work together to get to this customer and get them to purchase when they want to.
Yeah, that's so true. And we use our channels to drive our other channels. So if you don't have the mobile app downloaded, but you're on our email list, we're going to tell you why you need the mobile app. And especially if you're a credit card holder, because there's even more benefits to having the app if you're a credit card holder. So it's also about segmentation and figuring out what's the right message for the right person. Because there may be someone that honestly is unlikely to download the app, at least right now in their life cycle, and that's okay. But let's make sure we're leveraging the ones who would benefit from it.
And it's all about leveraging that data, isn't it? You can have the Rolls Royce of search engine or marketing tools, but if you haven't got that data, if you don't understand it, and like your point around breaking down the silos as well, because if there are any chief financial officers in the room, I'm assuming not, but when you're going in and you're trying to convince them to spend on brand marketing, that's a prime example. If you don't spend on that brand marketing, it doesn't matter how much you spend in your performance marketing channels, you've got to find that blend. It would be remiss of us on this panel not to cover a little bit about AI. I realised that we had a session yesterday, but I'm just interested from your perspective and from your brands, how big is AI on the agenda for your boards, and where are your heads at with utilising it within this space? I'll come to you at the end, Laura.
Yeah, I'd say I'm really excited about what AI is going to do for the SEO space. I think that's going to be some great wins. I'd also say everything that Google's coming out with, a lot of this was talked about yesterday, that you can search something and the background will change based on what you searched, or there's so many different things that's going to make it easier to appeal to the vast amount of customers out there. So I would say, I don't think our board, I don't think it's top of mind for our board, unfortunately, but I would say like the true marketers in our company understand that is going to be the next thing.
Yeah. And is there a nervousness around it, or are people embracing it?
I think people are embracing it for sure. I think sometimes people use it as a buzzword because they don't really understand what it's going to be, but I think I can't remember who it was yesterday who was saying, hire the 18 to 20-year-olds who are going to dig in and figure it out. Like that's exactly what our team's doing. It's the young guys and girls figuring out, okay, what can I do to change things? How can I get my conversion up? All of that. That's like truly invested in the changes.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of figuring it out, except maybe the Create Labs guy who's been doing it for a decade.
He's nailed it.
Which I grabbed him last night over a spicy margarita and picked his brain. But we're approaching it very cautiously but positively.
Yeah.
And we're using it in somewhat of a simplistic form for copywriting efficiency and things like that. And it's actually of course people are fearful, is it going to take jobs, things of that nature, which is fair. But in our instance, it's really just freeing up people's time to focus on more strategic things,
right.
the things that they wish they had time to do.
Yeah.
And so I think if you approach it that way, it becomes a lot less scary, and it becomes a tool in your arsenal.
Yeah, I really like that. It's a great pitch.
Yeah. I think for us, AI comes in two flavors similar to what Anna's talking about. In the boardroom, it's more about our exit strategy. If you have AI, if you have technology, a way to innovate that other apparel brands can't, there is a reason to warrant a higher valuation potentially, and there was a recent IPO that had technology, or maybe it was a sale, and the valuation was quite good. So I think from a board perspective, that's a pretty big interest, but it's not actively talked about right now yet. Where it's more practical in its current stage for us is as marketers are asked to do more with less, as we talk about budgets, I want to spend every dollar I could to acquire and push getting more customer sales. So then thinking about my team's resources, how do I create the efficiency within the team to leverage a smaller team to do more? And so whether it's from a copy perspective, variations, brainstorming, AI comes up with some unique ideas too. I'm not sure if they're as good as Jason's ideas, but AI can help assist through a lot of that. And then further on is potentially thinking about how AI can be leveraged with our customers and achieve efficient sales from that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to flip it slightly. I was going to say to you guys, what are you most excited about in the future? I'm going to flip it on its head and say, what are you least excited about in the future? I think maybe that's the British pessimistic. It's not very American, is it? I should be really positive.
If you don't mind, there is something I am excited about.
Okay,
fortunate to be at the customer advisory board breakfast yesterday morning with the Wunderkind team, and they showed us the roadmap for the coming quarters. And there are some definitely, their AI is on there. There's some very appealing things, and the dialogue in the room was phenomenal. And so I think for anyone that wasn't there, there are definitely some things coming down the pipeline to get excited about. In terms of not excited about, sitting in more calls with lawyers about data privacy and what what new laws popping up in what state, and working with IT to make sure we're not tracking that. But it comes with the territory.
Yeah. All the boring stuff.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
I'd say what I'm excited about. I'm also gonna do that one too.
Take it back. Americans are taking it back.
We have 11 minutes and 54 seconds. So I can say
Questions.
Oh, sorry, questions. Okay.
Shoot.
But I'll go really quickly. So obviously, I think AI is gonna be huge for SEO, and I'm obsessed with SEO because I love free marketing channels. So I think that's gonna be awesome. I also have found this new obsession with returns and how do we change that industry. There's over 800 billion returns in the US in 2022. It was up 7% year over year. So how do we as retailers figure out that industry and get those customers to convert or get their money back faster? So I love that, and I've been talking with some startups about those different things, but I just think that's really cool, and I think it's the future. I was racking my brain on what I'm not excited about, and I have no idea. I'm excited about everything. I love a challenge.
That's a great answer.
I love to be here. I just feel great about everything. So
loving life. we'll be channeling that. You're not getting away from it.
So I got to take in all the least exciting things. I actually think right now we've been talking about a lot of ups and downs in marketing, right? I don't think it's gonna get any easier for us. Data continues to be an issue, especially as it relates to privacy. how we can track, how we can attribute efficiency. Media costs, wildly expensive, right? I remember about 18 months ago when it was very hard to acquire a customer on Meta because of the cost of impressions. So there are a lot of these harder things, which I think also as marketers, we love a good challenge. I think we're in this business for a reason. And so it's thinking about how can we overcome some of that and find efficiency, and then going to loyalty. Gen Zs are notorious for not having any brand loyalty. So as a brand, how do you get them to come beyond the product features? How do you get them to stay and care about you as a brand and pay up for what the brand does stand for? And so there's a lot of these fun, I would call them fun challenges that aren't exciting in the moment as you think about your 2024 planning and 2025, but if we can figure out how to solve some of these and get around it, I think there's a lot of success and growth to continue for us.
Yeah, I love that. There's always opportunity out there, right? Fantastic. I didn't ask though, we didn't prep this one, but I would just personally, I'm interested. You mentioned before Brag and Bone, and you're a fan of that, the loyalty program. Which loyalty programs do you interact with most? What are your favourites out there? You can't pick your own, by the way.
Oh my goodness. Honestly, the one I probably interact with the most is Pet Supplies Plus, because my dog's food is very expensive, and I appreciate those loyalty rewards.
So for you, it's more around the rewards that you get.
It's the value.
It's the value. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How about yourself?
Oh, mine's United Airlines.
I mean, you can't have Dragon Bone, obviously.
Dragon Bone doesn't have a loyalty program. But no, I'm obsessed with my United Global Service status, and I always am checking my miles, all that. Yeah. And then I also am a huge Nordstrom shopper, but that's because I used to be a buyer there, so I still love their program.
Okay. Fantastic. So travel and shopping.
Yep.
Woman after my own heart. Love it. Maggie.
Mine's got to be Sephora.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I'm not a makeup expert. I am quite lost if you put me inside a beauty store. And so to have those experts around me to explain to me what I should be buying, and I get points for it, and then I get free makeup lessons or
Yeah, they do a good job.
right?
Really good job.
It really kind of helps you, especially for those, I don't know how this applies to the room, but for myself, where I'm not as comfortable with makeup, it makes me feel at ease. And anytime I think about, I need to find a new mascara, well, next time I'll go to Wendy for Cali, right? But I just, walk into the store and I ask for help.
Yeah.
Well, your makeup looks flawless.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
It does. It looks fantastic. But there's three different, very different reasons as to why we joined loyalty programs. So I'm sure that's if we asked the whole room, they'd have different examples as well. But thank you ever so much, ladies. Please join me in thanking our incredible female lineup.